Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Discovery and watched the alien planet grow larger on the main screen. 3 years of travel through deep space had brought them here to Crystera, home of the Zephyrian Empire. His hands were steady, but his heart beat faster than usual. This mission could save Earth or destroy humanity's future. "Captain, we're getting a signal from the planet," said Ryan Torres from the communications station. His voice was calm, but Jake could hear the tension underneath. "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge go quiet. A tall figure stood before them, unlike anything they had ever seen. She was 9 feet tall with skin that looked like blue crystal. Patterns of light moved across her skin like living art. Her eyes glowed with a soft silver light. "I am Princess Velterra Nexus of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien spoke. Her voice was musical like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "You are the humans from the planet Earth." Jake stepped forward. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. We come in peace, seeking friendship between our peoples." The princess tilted her head. "Peace, friendship, these are interesting concepts. You wish to trade with our empire, do you not? Your people need our shield technology to protect your world from the stone rain that comes from space." Dr. Lisa Chang, standing beside Jake, whispered, "She means the asteroid swarm heading for Earth." Jake nodded. "Yes, Your Highness. Our scientists have calculated that without advanced shield technology, the asteroid impact will destroy most life on our planet. We offer knowledge, resources, and friendship in return for your help." Princess Veltara's skin patterns shifted to deeper blue. "Your request has been heard, Captain Morrison. However, you must understand our ways. The Zephyrian Empire does not simply give its most precious technology to unknown species." "We understand," Jake said. "We're prepared to prove ourselves worthy of your trust." The princess moved closer to the screen. Her silver eyes seemed to look directly into Jake's soul. "There is an ancient law among my people. When a new species seeks alliance with the Zephyrian Empire, they must pass the test of bonding. The strongest representative of the seeking species must bond with the royal heir." Jake felt confused. "What kind of bonding do you mean?" "Marriage, Captain Morrison." The princess's words hit the bridge like a physical blow. "I formally request your hand in marriage according to the sacred laws of Crystera." The bridge went completely silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat and the quiet hum of the ship's engines. Alex Hunter, his second in command, stepped forward with his mouth open in shock. "Your Highness," Jake said slowly, "I'm not sure I understand. You're asking me to marry you?" "That is correct. The marriage bond will last one full cycle of our world's rotation around our sun. During this time, I will study your species through you. I will learn if humans possess the qualities worthy of alliance with our empire." Dr. Chang moved to Jake's side. "Princess, could you give us time to discuss this among ourselves?" "Of course. You have until the next rising of our sun to decide. If you refuse, your ship will be escorted from our space and humanity will face the stone rain alone." The screen went black. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Finally, Alex Hunter broke the silence. "Jake, this is crazy. They want you to marry an alien princess?" "It's not about romance," Dr. Chang said, her scientific mind already working on the problem. "This is clearly a cultural requirement. Some kind of ritual or test." Jake ran his hand through his hair. "Ryan, get me a direct line to Earth Command. They need to know about this immediately." While Ryan worked on the communication link, Jake walked to the main viewing port and stared at the crystal planet below. Somewhere down there, an alien princess waited for his answer. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. "Connection established, Captain," Ryan announced. Admiral Patricia Knox appeared on screen, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Captain Morrison, report." Jake explained the situation as clearly as he could. When he finished, the Admiral was quiet for several seconds. "Captain, let me make sure I understand. This alien princess wants to marry you as a test to see if humanity deserves their help?" "That's correct, Admiral." "And if you refuse, they'll send us away and Earth will be destroyed by the asteroid swarm?" "Yes, ma'am." Admiral Knox leaned back in her chair. "Captain, I don't need to tell you what's at stake here. 8 billion people are depending on this mission. Whatever personal feelings you might have, they cannot matter more than the survival of our species." Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders like a heavy coat. "I understand, Admiral." "Good. You will accept the princess's proposal." "That's an order." The communication ended, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts and his crew's concerned faces. Dr. Chang approached him quietly. Jake, we need to learn everything we can about Zephyrian marriage customs before you give your answer. There might be details we don't understand yet. Agreed, Jake said. Lisa, I want you to analyze everything we know about their culture. Alex, prepare the crew for extended stay. It looks like we're going to be here for a while. Ben Carter, the security chief, frowned. Captain, what if this is some kind of trap? What if they plan to harm you? Jake looked at his loyal crew. These people had followed him across the galaxy, trusting his decisions. Now he had to make the biggest decision of his life, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. We'll be careful, Jake said, but we don't have a choice. If marrying an alien princess is what it takes to save Earth, then that's what I'll do. Kelly Brooks, the chief engineer, shook her head. This is definitely not in any of the training manuals. Despite everything, Jake almost smiled. No, Kelly, it's not. But we're about to make history one way or another. As the ship orbited the crystal planet, Jake prepared to give an answer that would change his life forever. Jake Morrison materialized on the surface of Crysthera in a shower of blue light. The Zephyrian transport system was unlike anything humans had experienced. One moment he was on his ship, the next he stood in a vast crystal hall that sparkled like the inside of a diamond. Princess Veltara waited for him, even more impressive in person than on the screen. Her crystalline skin caught the light from floating orbs that hung in the air around them. She wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Captain Morrison, she said, her voice echoing in the crystal chamber, you have decided to accept my proposal? Jake took a deep breath. Yes, Your Highness. I accept your proposal of marriage. The princess's skin patterns shifted to a warm gold color. Good, but you must understand this is not what you humans call romance. This is a test of worthiness. Through our bond, I will study your species. I will learn if humans deserve to join with the Zephyrian Empire. I understand, Jake said, though he really didn't understand anything about what was happening. Come, the princess said. You must meet the Council of Elders. They will explain the trials you must face. They walked through corridors that looked like they were carved from single massive crystals. Other Zephyrians watched them pass. They were all tall and graceful, their skin showing different patterns and colors. Some showed curiosity, others seemed worried or angry. The council chamber was enormous, with 12 ancient Zephyrians sitting on thrones made of different colored crystals. Their skin was more transparent than Veltara's, showing their great age. Human. The center elder spoke, his voice like distant thunder. You wish to bond with our princess. Do you know what this means? I'm hoping you'll explain it to me, Jake said honestly. The elder's skin flashed red briefly. Honesty. Interesting. Most species try to pretend they know more than they do. He leaned forward. The marriage bond is not just ceremony, human. It creates a connection between minds. For one cycle of our world, Princess Veltara will experience your thoughts, your emotions, your memories. Through you, she will judge if humanity is worthy of our alliance. Jake felt his stomach drop. You mean she'll be able to read my mind? More than that, another elder said. She will feel what you feel. Think what you think. Experience what it means to be human. And I will experience what it means to be Zephyrian, the princess added. The bond works both ways, though humans have never been strong enough to fully connect with our consciousness. Back on the Discovery, Dr. Chang was working frantically to understand what Jake was getting into. Alex Hunter paced the bridge while Ryan monitored communications from the planet. I found something, Lisa announced. The Zephyrian neural bonding process is mentioned in some of the ancient texts we downloaded. It's not just cultural, it's biological. They're going to create an actual mental link between Jake and the princess. Alex stopped pacing. Is it dangerous? I don't know. There's no record of any other species surviving the process. Most aliens who tried it died or went insane. We have to warn Jake, Alex said. He's already on the planet, Ryan reported. All communications are being monitored by the Zephyrians. On Crystera, Jake was learning about the trials he would face. The elders explained that he must prove human worth through 3 tests: the test of mind, the test of heart, and the test of spirit. The test of mind will challenge your ability to solve problems that have no obvious solution, Elder Catherine explained. The test of heart will measure your capacity for sacrifice and compassion. The test of spirit will reveal whether humans possess the strength to stand with us against the darkness that threatens all life. What darkness? Jake asked. The elders exchanged glances. There are forces in the universe that seek to destroy all conscious life, Elder Mordan said. The Zephyrian Empire has fought them for millennia. Any species that joins us must be strong enough to stand in that fight. Princess Veltara stepped forward. Captain Morrison, these tests will not be easy. Many who have tried them have failed. Some have died. Do you still wish to proceed? Jake thought about Earth, about the asteroids heading for his home planet, about the 8 billion people counting on him. I do. The first test began immediately. Jake was taken to a chamber filled with floating crystal puzzles. Each puzzle was different, and solving one only led to another, more complex problem. The goal is not to solve every puzzle, the princess explained as she watched him work. The goal is to show us how humans think when faced with impossible challenges. Jake worked for hours. Some puzzles he solved through logic, others through intuition. When faced with one that seemed truly impossible, he did something no Zephyrian had ever done in the test chamber. He broke the rules. Instead of trying to solve the puzzle as designed, Jake found a way around it. He used pieces from different puzzles to create a new solution that the designers never intended. The princess's skin flashed bright white with surprise. You changed the puzzle itself. The goal was to show you how humans think, Jake said, wiping sweat from his forehead. We don't always follow the rules when lives are at stake. Sometimes we make new rules. The elders watched through viewing crystals, their conversations creating harmonic tones that filled their observation chamber. He thinks differently than any species we have tested, Elder Kethron observed. His mind jumps to solutions that logic would never reach, agreed Elder Mordan. Is this adaptation or chaos? Asked Elder Zarthan. Princess Veltara was beginning to wonder the same thing. Through the growing mental connection, she was starting to feel echoes of Jake's thoughts. His mind was unlike anything she had experienced. Where Zephyrian thoughts moved in orderly patterns, human thoughts seemed to dance and leap from idea to idea. The second test came the next day. Jake was placed in a simulation where he had to rescue trapped beings from a collapsing crystal mine. The twist was that he could only save half of them. Logic demanded he choose the most valuable individuals. Instead, Jake spent hours figuring out how to save everyone. He used creative solutions, took dangerous risks, and refused to accept that anyone had to die. When the simulation ended, he had saved every single trapped being, though he had nearly died in the process. Why? The princess asked him as medical crystals healed his injuries. Why risk your life for beings you don't even know? Logic says some must be sacrificed for the greater good. Jake looked at her with confusion. Because they were people. You don't abandon people just because it's easier. For the first time in her long life, Princess Veltara felt something strange stirring in her mind. It was an emotion she didn't recognize, something warm and painful at the same time. Through their growing bond, she was beginning to experience human feelings. The third test would come soon, but already the princess was changing. The cold logic that had guided her entire life was being challenged by something new, something uniquely human. On the Discovery, Dr. Chang made a disturbing discovery. The neural bonding process wasn't just affecting Jake. According to her readings, the princess was also changing in ways that had never been recorded before. Alex, she said quietly, I think we're about to change both of our species forever. Princess Veltara woke from her meditation cycle with something she had never experienced before. Her dreams had been filled with strange images and feelings that made no logical sense. She had dreamed of Earth, of blue skies and green trees, of creatures called dogs that served no practical purpose except to make humans happy. These were Jake's memories, flowing into her mind through their growing bond. The princess touched her crystal chamber's wall and watched as her reflection showed her skin patterns shifting in ways she couldn't control. The elders had warned her this might happen, but she had not expected it to feel so overwhelming. Meanwhile, Jake was experiencing his own changes. He woke in his guest quarters feeling more peaceful than he had in years, despite being on an alien world. There was a calmness in his mind that felt foreign but pleasant. Status report, he said to his communicator. Jake, thank goodness, came Alex's voice from the Discovery. How are you feeling? Different, Jake admitted, but not bad different. It's hard to explain. Dr. Chang's voice joined the conversation. Jake, our scanners are picking up some unusual readings from both you and the princess. The neural bond is stronger than anything in the Zephyrian records. Before Jake could respond, Princess Veltara entered his room. Her movements were less graceful than before, more human. Captain Morrison, she said, but her voice carried new tones. I am experiencing something my people call the feeling storm. It appears your emotions are affecting me more than expected. Jake stood up. Are you okay? Is it hurting you? The princess tilted her head, just like Jake often did when thinking. Hurting? No. But it is, or confusing. Last night I dreamed of something called friendship. I felt the warmth you experienced when your crew chose to follow you on this dangerous mission. Why do humans feel such connection to others who are not family? Because they become family, Jake said simply. We choose our family as much as we're born into it. Veltara's skin flashed with curiosity patterns. Show me. Jake activated his communicator. Discovery, can you patch me through to the crew? Soon faces appeared on the small screen. Alex, Lisa, Ryan, Ben, Kelly, and Grace Parker from the medical bay all looked back at him. How are you holding up, Captain? Ben asked. We're all thinking about you, Grace added. The whole ship is, Alex said. We're proud of you, Jake. Jake felt the familiar warmth of belonging, of being part of something bigger than himself. Through the neural bond, Princess Veltara experienced it too. Her skin went brilliant white with shock. You truly care for these people. And they care for you, not because of duty or logic, but because of love? That's right, Jake said. Love isn't logical. It's just real. The princess stumbled backward, overwhelmed by the intensity of human emotion. For her entire life, she had lived by pure logic and reason. Emotions were considered primitive, inefficient, but now she could feel the power in them, the way they motivated humans to achieve impossible things. We must begin the third test immediately, she said urgently. The council needs to understand what I am experiencing. The test of spirit took place in the largest crystal chamber on Crysthera. The elders gathered to watch as Jake faced what they considered the ultimate challenge. Captain Morrison, Elder Kethran announced, you will face a simulation of our ancient enemy, the Void Seekers. These creatures exist only to destroy consciousness. To reduce all thinking life to empty matter, you must show us that humanity has the spirit to fight such darkness. The chamber filled with swirling shadows. From the darkness came creatures that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved like liquid night, reaching toward Jake with tentacles that dissolved everything they touched. Jake had no weapons, only his mind and will. The Void Seekers attacked, and he felt their terrible hunger for destruction. They whispered in his thoughts, telling him that resistance was pointless, that all life was meaningless. But Jake thought of Earth. He thought of children playing in parks, of lovers holding hands, of friends sharing jokes. He thought of his crew risking their lives to follow him across the galaxy. He thought of the warmth he felt when humans chose to help strangers for no reason except kindness. The Void Seekers recoiled from these thoughts. Light began to push back the darkness. Princess Veltara watched in amazement as Jake fought the simulation with nothing but human emotions. Love, hope, friendship, and determination proved to be weapons against the creatures of pure destruction. Impossible, whispered Elder Mordan. No species has ever driven back the Void Seekers with emotion alone. But through the neural bond, Veltara understood. Human emotions weren't weakness, they were strength. They created meaning where none existed, built connections that survived any challenge, and generated hope even in the darkest times. The simulation ended with the Void Seekers retreating. Jake stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by warm light that came from his own spirit. The human has passed all 3 tests, Elder Zar then announced, his voice filled with wonder. But Princess Veltara was experiencing something else entirely. Through the bond, she felt Jake's exhaustion, his worry about his crew, his homesickness for Earth, and his determination to save his people no matter the cost. Council of Elders, she said, her voice shaking with new emotions. I request immediate private conference. In the council chamber, Veltara faced the 12 ancient beings who had guided her entire life. Princess, Elder Kethran said, you appear changed. I am changed, she admitted. Through this human, I have experienced emotions our people abandoned long ago. I have felt love, hope, fear, and joy, and I understand now why we have been stagnating as a species. Explain, commanded Elder Mordan. We chose logic over feeling because we believed emotions were primitive, but humans have shown me that emotions create innovation. They drive beings to attempt impossible things, to sacrifice for others, to find meaning in existence itself. The elders exchanged concerned glances. Princess, you are speaking of abandoning millions of years of evolution. No, Veltara said firmly. I am speaking of continuing it. We have reached the limits of pure logic. To grow further, we must learn from the humans. Elder Zarthan's skin flashed with alarm. You would have us become like them? Chaotic and unpredictable? I would have us become complete, the princess replied. Logic without emotion creates stagnation. Emotion without logic creates chaos. But together... She paused, feeling Jake's thoughts mixing with her own. Together they create something greater than either alone. On the Discovery, Dr. Chang was monitoring the neural bond readings with growing excitement. Alex, you need to see this, she called. The bond between Jake and the princess isn't just allowing them to share thoughts. It's creating something new. Their brain patterns are synchronizing in ways that enhance both species' capabilities. What does that mean? Alex asked. It means, Grace Parker said from the medical station, that maybe this marriage is about more than testing humanity. Maybe it's about evolution. Back on Kristara, Princess Veltara made a decision that would change everything. She looked at the Council of Elders with determination that was both Zephyrian and human. I will continue the marriage bond beyond the traditional cycle, she announced. This human has shown me that our species needs what his people possess. And through our connection, I believe humans can gain what we offer as well. Princess, Elder Catherine warned, such a decision is unprecedented. The consequences are unknown. Yes, Veltara agreed, her skin patterns now showing a mixture of Zephyrian logic and human warmth, and that is exactly why we must do it. The formal marriage ceremony took place in the Grand Crystal Cathedral, a massive structure that reached toward Kristara's 3 moons. Jake stood beside Princess Veltara, both of them surrounded by representatives from across the Zephyrian Empire. The ceremony was unlike anything humans had ever witnessed. Floating crystals created music that seemed to come from the air itself. Light patterns danced through the cathedral's walls, telling the ancient story of Zephyrian bonding rituals. Are you ready, Captain Morrison? The princess asked. Her skin showed patterns of both excitement and fear. As ready as someone can be for something like this, Jake replied. Elder Catherine stepped forward, carrying a crystal that pulsed with inner light. This is the bond crystal, he explained. It will create a permanent connection between your minds. Once activated, you will share thoughts, emotions, and memories for as long as you both live. Jake looked at his crew, who watched from a viewing platform. Alex gave him an encouraging nod. Dr. Chang looked fascinated but worried. The others showed their support with smiles and waves. I'm ready, Jake said. The elder placed the crystal between Jake and Veltara. Place your hands upon the crystal and open your minds to each other. The moment Jake's hand touched the crystal, the world exploded into sensation. He felt Veltara's thoughts rushing into his mind like a river of liquid starlight. At the same time, his human emotions crashed into her consciousness like a warm wave. Veltara gasped as she experienced the full force of human feeling. Joy, sorrow, love, fear, hope, and determination flooded through her crystal-calm mind. She saw Jake's memories of Earth, green forests, blue oceans, and the faces of people he loved. Jake felt the incredible complexity of Zephyrian thought. Her mind was like a vast crystal structure, each thought connected to thousands of others in perfect logical patterns. He experienced her memories of growing up as a princess, the weight of responsibility for billions of people, and the loneliness of a life guided by pure logic. The bond is complete, Elder Catherine announced, but his voice seemed to come from very far away. For several minutes, Jake and Veltara stood frozen, their minds adjusting to the new connection. When they finally opened their eyes, both had changed. Jake's eyes now held a silver gleam similar to Veltara's. The princess's skin patterns moved more naturally, showing emotion she had never felt before. How do you feel? She asked, though she could sense his answer through their bond. Like I'm thinking with 2 brains, Jake said. I can feel your logical processes organizing my thoughts, making them clearer. And I can feel your emotions giving meaning to my logic, Veltara replied. It is wonderful and terrifying at the same time. Their honeymoon period was cut short by urgent news. Commander Alex Hunter contacted them with information that changed everything. Jake, we're picking up massive energy signatures at the edge of the Zephyrian system, Alex reported. Unknown ships are approaching fast. Elder Morden's skin flashed red with alarm. The Void Seekers. They have found us. Through their bond, Jake felt Veltara's fear and determination. The Void Seekers were the ancient enemy of all conscious life, creatures that existed only to destroy thinking beings and reduce the universe to empty matter. How many ships? Jake asked. Hundreds, came the grim reply from Ryan Torres. Maybe thousands. They're coming from multiple directions. In the Zephyrian Command Center, military leaders gathered around holographic displays showing the approaching threat. General Morketh, the Empire's top military commander, studied the data with growing concern. Their attack pattern makes no logical sense, he reported. They approach from 17 different vectors, using chaotic flight paths that change every few minutes. Princess Veltara and Jake arrived at the command center, their bond allowing them to share information instantly. Jake studied the tactical display while Veltara processed the data through Zephyrian military protocols. They're not being chaotic, Jake said suddenly. They're being unpredictable. There's a difference. Explain, General Morketh demanded. Through their neural link, Jake shared his understanding with Veltara, who translated it into concepts the Zephyrians could grasp. Human military tactics, she explained. They use unpredictability as a weapon. If the enemy cannot predict your actions, they cannot prepare effective defenses. That is illogical, the general protested. Efficient tactics follow mathematical principles. Yes, Jake said, but the Void Seekers have been fighting Zephyrians for millennia. They know your mathematical principles. They've learned to counter your logical tactics. Veltara felt a new sensation through the bond, the excitement Jake felt when solving a puzzle. Captain Morrison is correct, she announced. We must adapt our strategy to be less predictable. The first wave of Void Seeker ships reached the outer planets of the Zephyrian system. The Empire's defense fleet moved to intercept them, following centuries-old tactical doctrines. The results were devastating. The Void Seekers, dark ships that seemed to absorb light itself, easily anticipated every Zephyrian move. Within hours, a third of the defense fleet was destroyed. Our tactics are failing, General Morketh reported, his skin showing patterns of deep concern. Let me help, Jake offered. Our species might approach this differently. You are one human against thousands of enemy ships, the general said. What can you possibly do? He will not be alone, Princess Veltara said firmly. Through our bond, we can combine human intuition with Zephyrian technology. Jake and Veltara worked together to develop new tactics. Through their connection, Jake's creative thinking merged with her logical analysis and knowledge of Zephyrian capabilities. What if we don't try to predict their movements? Jake suggested. What if we force them to react to us instead? Using their combined consciousness, they developed a strategy that had never been tried. Instead of forming logical battle lines, the Zephyrian fleet would split into small groups that moved independently, making sudden, unexpected attacks before retreating. This is chaos, General Morketh protested. No, Veltara said, her skin showing the confidence she felt through Jake's emotions. This is adaptation. The new tactics were put into practice when the second wave of Void Seekers arrived. Instead of meeting them with orderly formations, the Zephyrian ships scattered like a swarm of insects, each group attacking from unexpected angles. The Void Seekers, accustomed to fighting predictable opponents, struggled to respond. Their dark ships collided with each other as they tried to counter attacks that came from all directions at once. It's working, Ryan Torres reported from the Discovery. The enemy formation is breaking apart, but the victory was temporary. The Void Seekers began to adapt to the new tactics, their artificial intelligence learning from each encounter. They're getting smarter, Jake observed, watching the battle displays. We need something they can't adapt to. Through their bond, Veltara shared an idea that formed in both their minds simultaneously. What if we give them something they have never encountered before? What do you mean? General Morketh asked. Jake and Veltara looked at each other, their thoughts perfectly synchronized. A completely new form of consciousness, they said together. The next phase of the battle would require something unprecedented, a direct mental link between human and Zephyrian minds across the entire fleet. It was dangerous, possibly impossible, but it might be the only way to defeat an enemy that existed to destroy all thinking life. We'll need volunteers, Jake said, humans and Zephyrians willing to form temporary bonds. The risk is enormous, Elder Catherine warned. Most beings cannot survive the bonding process. Then we'll have to be the first, Veltara said, her determination flowing through the bond to strengthen Jake's resolve. As the largest wave of Void-Seeker ships approached Crystera itself, Jake and Veltara prepared for the most dangerous gamble in the history of both species. The final battle began as thousands of Void-Seeker ships emerged from the darkness between stars. Their vessels looked like tears in space itself, absorbing light and hope wherever they went. The largest fleet of destroyers in galactic history moved toward Crystera with one purpose: to end all conscious life in the Zephyrian system. Jake and Princess Veltara stood in the central command chamber, their minds linked more deeply than ever before. Around them, volunteers from both species prepared for the most dangerous experiment in history. "Are you sure about this?" Alex Hunter asked from the Discovery. His ship was positioned alongside 50 other human vessels that had arrived just in time for the battle. "No," Jake admitted through the communication link. "But it's our only chance." Dr. Chang monitored the neural bonding equipment from her station. "Jake, the readings are off the charts. We don't know what linking this many minds together will do." "We're about to find out," Princess Veltara said, her skin showing patterns of determination mixed with fear. The first volunteer pairs stepped forward, human crew members and Zephyrian officers who would attempt temporary neural bonds. Grace Parker from the medical team joined with a young Zephyrian healer. Ben Carter linked with a Zephyrian security commander. Kelly Brooks bonded with a crystal engineer. Each bonding created a flash of light and energy. Some pairs collapsed immediately, overwhelmed by the mental connection. Others screamed as their minds tried to process completely different forms of consciousness. But a few succeeded, their faces showing wonder as they experienced thoughts beyond their own species. "It's working," Grace reported, her voice carrying new harmonics from her Zephyrian bondmate. "I can feel her knowledge flowing into my mind, and she's experiencing human emotion for the first time." Jake felt each successful bond through his connection with Veltara. Their minds served as the central hub for a growing network of linked consciousness. "Enemy ships entering weapons range," General Morketh announced. His skin showed the stress patterns of a commander facing impossible odds. "Begin the coordinated assault," Jake and Veltara said together, their voices perfectly synchronized. What happened next had never been seen in the history of galactic warfare. The combined human Zephyrian fleet moved like a single living organism. Ships that should have taken minutes to communicate with each other responded instantly to shared thoughts and emotions. Human pilots felt Zephyrian tactical knowledge flowing into their minds, while Zephyrian commanders experienced human intuition and creativity. The fleet danced through space with impossible coordination, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. The Void-Seekers, expecting predictable patterns, found themselves facing something they had never encountered: a truly collective consciousness that combined logic and emotion, order and chaos, technology and spirit. "They're confused," Ryan Torres reported from his enhanced connection with a Zephyrian communications officer. "The enemy AI can't predict our movements because we're not just thinking, we're feeling our way through the battle." Jake felt the network of minds growing stronger. Through their bonds, humans shared their emotional strength while Zephyrians provided logical analysis and technical knowledge. The combination created something greater than either species could achieve alone. But the Void-Seekers were adapting. Their ships began targeting the bonded pairs specifically, trying to break the mental connections that gave the Allied fleet its advantage. "We're losing bonds," Dr. Chang reported as several linked pairs collapsed under psychic assault. "The network is weakening." Jake felt each broken connection like a physical pain. Through Veltara, he sensed the approaching Void-Seeker mothership, a massive vessel that radiated pure destruction. "Princess," he said, "we need to try something even more dangerous." Through their bond, she understood immediately, a direct link with the enemy consciousness. "If we can understand how they think, we might find a weakness." "Jake, no," Alex shouted from the Discovery. "That's suicide. Those things exist to destroy consciousness. If you link with them, they'll destroy your mind." "Maybe," Jake said, "but if we don't try, they'll destroy everyone's mind anyway." Princess Veltara took his hand. "We go together. Your human spirit and my Zephyrian logic. If we can survive the connection long enough, we might learn how to defeat them." They reached out through their neural network toward the approaching mothership. The moment their combined consciousness touched the Void Seeker collective, agony tore through their minds. The Void Seekers were not evil in any way humans or Zephyrians understood. They were something worse. They were empty. Where consciousness should be, there was only hunger for destruction, only the desire to reduce all complexity to simple matter. Jake felt his sanity slipping as the void pressed against his thoughts, but through Veltara's strength he held on. And through his emotional resilience she maintained her logical analysis. Together they discovered the truth about the Void Seekers. They had once been a conscious species like any other, but they had chosen to eliminate all emotion, all chaos, all unpredictability from their existence. In pursuing perfect order, they had destroyed their own consciousness and become something that could only exist by destroying the consciousness of others. They fear chaos, Jake gasped as he broke the connection. They fear anything they can't predict or control. Then we give them chaos, Veltara said, her skin flashing with understanding. Through their network, they shared the plan with every bonded pair. Instead of fighting the Void Seekers with tactics or weapons, they would fight them with pure, joyful chaos. The human ships began doing impossible things, flying in loops, spelling out words with their formation patterns, playing music through their engine frequencies. The Zephyrian vessels joined in, their logical systems creating mathematical art in space. The combined fleet turned the battle into a celebration of consciousness itself. They broadcast every emotion, every random thought, every creative impulse across all frequencies. The Void Seekers recoiled as if burned. Their ships, designed to counter logical patterns, couldn't process the pure creative chaos of conscious minds celebrating existence. "It's working," Kelly Brooks shouted from her bond with the crystal engineer. "They're retreating." But the mothership pressed forward, its vast emptiness trying to drain the joy and creativity from the Allied fleet. Jake and Veltara felt its approach like an approaching winter. "One more time," Jake said. "We link with every conscious being in the system. Show them what life really means." Through their bond, they reached out to every human, every Zephyrian, every thinking creature in the system. For one perfect moment, millions of minds touched, sharing their love for existence, their hope for the future, their determination to protect life itself. The wave of pure consciousness hit the Void Seeker mothership like a tsunami of light. The ancient destroyer, faced with the combined will to live of an entire system, simply stopped. Its dark hull began to crack, letting in light for the first time in millennia. The ship that had destroyed countless worlds was overwhelmed by the simple joy of being alive. One by one, the remaining Void Seeker vessels powered down and drifted away into space, their mission forgotten in the face of consciousness too vibrant to destroy. In the aftermath, Jake and Veltara stood together on the observation deck of the rebuilt Crystal Cathedral. Around them, humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, building something new. "So what happens now?" Jake asked. "Now we build a future," Veltara replied. "Your people get the shield technology to protect Earth from the asteroids. My people learn to feel again. And together, we explore what it means to be truly conscious." Below them, human children played with young Zephyrians, their laughter creating patterns in the crystal walls. The sight filled both Jake and Veltara with hope. "Do you think we'll stay bonded?" Jake asked. Veltara's skin showed patterns of love and certainty. "I think we've become something new, Jake Morrison. Not human, not Zephyrian, but something that combines the best of both." As Cristhera's 3 moons rose over the horizon, the first truly integrated human Zephyrian colony began to take shape. It would be a place where logic and emotion, order and chaos, technology and spirit would combine to create possibilities neither species had ever imagined. The marriage that began as a test had become the foundation of a new form of consciousness, one that could face any darkness because it celebrated the light of awareness itself. In the distance, the stars seemed brighter, as if the universe itself was pleased with what consciousness could accomplish when it chose cooperation over conflict, unity over division, and love over fear. Jake squeezed Veltara's crystalline hand, feeling through their bond the warmth of shared purpose and the excitement of infinite possibilities ahead. The future would be challenging, but it would be faced together.